All right, how's it going, everybody? This is Ismortah, and this evening during my 7 p.m. Central, in this case, board game stream, gonna be showing you some Twilight Imperium new goodness. This is for Twilight Imperium 4th edition. This is the second expansion, Thunder's Edge, just released last week, and the idea is to show you an unboxing video to see what the components are, what you get that's new. We'll briefly go into the rulebook a little bit. Again, this is going to be an unboxing video to show everything you get in the box. This is not a how to play video, but I'm excited to show you what all the different components and dive into some of the modules and things you can add, but it won't be going into necessarily how they play and revealing lore and stuff, because that's for you to enjoy and or would be part of a how to play video. And of course, if you like what you see, be sure to comment and follow here on twitch.tv/Ismortah. If you missed the live stream, no worries. Catch me the following day on YouTube at Shadow Balance Games. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's dig into this to see what's. I'm excited because this is one of my favorite board games of all time. And to see, I'm always excited about the new races that are added, and the fact that I know that this is adding not only modular stuff, meaning additional game mechanics and things you can do in the game, that you can decide how many of these things you want to add, and you don't have to add everything. But also it adds, I believe, other ways you could play the game as well, in addition to an NPC faction. So let's see what this is all about. All right, so here we got the core box. Down on the back, it has a pretty good overview of everything that's in it. Don't worry about trying to read it. It's more like look at the pretties. Of which are a lot of pretties. 5 new factions, content from the Twilight Codices, meaning the Twilight Codex, which was something that was free content that was released online from FFG. A full set of neutral units, which are gray units. And of course, requires 4th edition to play the game. Now, you don't need Prophecy of Kings to play this expansion, but I do recommend also having Prophecy of Kings because they all add awesome stuff. Plus, the Prophecy of Kings, they'll have those additional mech units and leaders, some of the stuff that was fan favorites from if you played Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. All right. Let's open up this baby. One of the things is when I checked out Prophecy of Kings was all of the races were so powerful that if you're just playing for the meta, they were some of the most fun and just mechanically very powerful races. So I'm looking forward to see how these fared as well. You know, instead of grandfathering these races that they've done before, creating new ones to create new gameplay, and they're proven to be pretty good. All right, I thought we cut all these. All right, here we go. All right. The smell of fresh cardboard. All right, so first on top you have a stack of mini cardboard punch-outs. I'm not going to punch them out, but I will show you all of the different sheets of cardboard here in a sec. Looks like we have a expansion rules in addition to, what we got here? A lore compendium and a booklet on Twilight's fall game mode. And we'll flip through all of these books. And we have, I believe, all of the additional factions, which I believe is 5, which will also flip through. And we have stuff that's in the vac tray, which looks like is cards and miniatures and more cards. So let's start going through everything. First off, we have a lot of token pieces, and you see new hex tiles as well. And again, for storage, for Twilight Imperium, even though you can use classically the game boxes, which I still recommend using for certain pieces, you know, like hex tiles, I do recommend other solutions. Like you see my previous video on GameGenic, the Game Castle is a great resource for all of the tokens and miniatures. But I know some players also just get hobby boxes. That way you can have like each player having their own box that has all of your stuff, all of your miniatures, all of your cards, all of your tokens. So you don't have to farm trying to get all players' pieces before every game. It works for you, but I recommend doing something that's provides that level of organization, just because there's so many components in this game. All right. I'll show you some of the sheets. I know some of these pieces could punch out because it is punch board. So I plan to show you all the pieces and all the miniatures. I'm not going to show you all the cards. I'm going to show you a sample of the cards because I don't want to give away stuff that you might encounter on the cards that way it's a surprise. But I will show you also all the races. Oh, it looks like they do provide new strategy cards, which is interesting. I did not realize they also updated strategy cards. That's interesting. Which is core mechanic of the game. Unless they're built for, in particular, one of the new game modes. We'll see. This piece is sort of coming out, but you know what? I'm going to show you this piece because these are some of the new home worlds. I believe this is actually Thunder's Edge, this 3-piece tile. And the neutral faction would be in this space, if I recall. And I'll go ahead and punch this one out. Here's another home world, I believe. And here's the rest of those pieces. All right, well, let's go ahead and check out, do an order of operation, the new race sheets. This is honestly the most fun content because not only do you have new lore, especially when you look at the back of these, which I'm not going to go into, but just let you know the back of these have lore for the faction. But the fact that you can see the unique abilities that they can do and the fact that how they play some of the units and abilities are a little bit different. So each one feels a little different when you play. All right, so Wow, there's actually, like, I thought there's 5 new factions, but there are so many factions here. So I wonder if some of these have to do with, like, the unique new games mode or something. Because, like, this is way beyond 5. This is, like, holy shit. Kind of crazy. But it could be some of these are tied to a game mode. Because I noticed, like, these look classically, when you check out the edge of these players' factions, whereas these are colored, so maybe that means something. Wow, it's kind of crazy. So, like I said, I'm not going to read through these, but I'll show up each one of these to the camera because you could also freeze it. This one is Last Bastion. So you got to do this. Then we have the Deep Rot Scholaret. And it's so weird that they say there's only like 4 or 5 new factions, and there's so many faction cards. It's like, did they redo some ones? Did they? I don't know. Kind of crazy. The Crimson Rebellion, which I'm sure it's all clarified when you check out the rulebook. And if not familiar with these faction cards, see, each of these are the different units and their abilities. Each player card could be, each faction could be a little bit different. This is your flagship, which is always totally different. And here you have how many commodities you get, and special abilities of your faction, again, which is unique to the faction. And then on the back, you have all this lore about the faction. And what's also cool, which I don't know if it's new to this or if they started this, honestly, in Prophecy Kings I didn't notice, but if you look at the bottom left, this also gives you an overview of their starting units and starting technology. So you can use the back of this to see quickly, how do I set up this faction, for example. Next, you have the Ralnay Consortium. You have the Firmament. You have the Obsidian. You have the Council Caleres. This is one of the interesting factions that I read about, the fact that you sort of like can assimilate the players you're playing with. It's kind of like the Necrovirus, that you use whatever someone else is using. Well, of an unused faction, I should say. Like, for example, reading one of their faction abilities, the Tribuni. During setup, choose a Caleres hero that corresponds to an unused faction. Take that faction's home system, command tokens, and control tokens. The unchosen Caleres heroes are not used. Next we have... Now these are ones that are marked, like I said, weird, because like normally these are marked with a faction symbol in the upper right. But these look more like generic, kind of like in an arcade. And they'll go through these next, which might have special game mode affiliation. You have the Ruby Monarch. I've noticed these, the next set of that I'm going through, including that one, these factions don't have faction abilities. I've noticed. There's no faction ability on this corner here. Oh, and on the back, it's like there's a variant, if I'm looking at that correctly. Or is it the same thing twice? I'm checking. Yeah, they are a little different. So let me go back one. So I showed you this one. So these have 2 different variant sides, which are actually a little different. So man, just this alone, checking out all this content on just the factions to see how they're different. It's kind of fun. The Radiant Aor. And again, I'll let you check out Freezing Camera on YouTube or Twitch to see how they're different, or the nuances of them. Avarice Rex. I'm going to butcher these names. Il Sai Lakoi, Herald of Thorns. Man, this faction just sounds fucking cool. With a flagship called the Night Bloom. What is going on here? The Night Bloom, it's called the Blossoming Flagship. It says, when this unit moves, you may resolve the production abilities of your units in the system it started in, and each system it moved through. That's kind of crazy. I like these popping colors too. All right, so then we have the Saint of Swords. Next we have the Elna Virus set. That's kind of catching how the Enigma flagship says 7777. That's very eye-catching. We have the Elnian Genovet. Now, my first critique that I'm finally seeing when everything looks so good is the difference between the Elnian Genovet and Viruset. They're just, the colors are so close. Like, it's good that they have those symbols so you can differentiate, but honestly, the colors are so close that you can't even tell a difference at a distance that they're different colors. Like, this one's more like a neon pink, and this one's kind of like a magenta, but they're so close. Now, I know also both these factions look like they must be related. Actually, all of these creatures look kind of similar, but still, it's like, I don't know. A little more separation would have been good. A Sickening Lurch. Cool. A lot of new factions. And of course, if you like what you see, be sure to comment and follow here on twitch.tv/Ismortah. And if you missed the live stream, no worries. You can catch all my content on including this one, the following day on YouTube at Shadow Balance Games. All right, so again, this first top one is Twilight's Fall Game Mode Rules. Oh, no, I'm sure it was the bottom one. So it looks like that's what it is. Like, Twilight's Fall looks like it's a particular game mode that has all of those additional factions that I called out beyond what I actually said you could play with on the back of the box. Whereas the other two, you have the classical that you see in the core game, and Prophets of Kings, a rule book and a lore book. But because I'm curious, let's go ahead and check out this game mode rules. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the how to play, but like seeing what it offers, what it's all about. It goes into some story stuff in the very beginning. Multiple pages. Let's see if we can provide some context. Twilight's Fall is a new game mode aimed at advanced players set in a possible dark future of the galaxy. The great civilizations have fallen, and the Mahak Kings war against one another, their wild gene sorcery tearing the universe apart at its seams. Each player controls one of these kings, and throughout the game splice together a unique set of abilities to create a customized and rapidly changing faction. So at a glance, without going in the weeds, this is introducing just a new way to play with the components of Twilight Imperium. So you're using the same game, but you're not playing the game the same way, which is fun. It's a new experience. And so it says how to set up the game and how to play, and I'll definitely be digging into this in the future to see how it's different. It looks like you get abilities, you could splice abilities together. So my guess is instead of being stuck with a race and you always have certain abilities, every time you play the game, you can sort of like purchase abilities or acquire abilities, so it's always different even if you play the same faction potentially, is what it sounds like. And it looks like there's also the use of these edit cards as well. But it looks like this whole book is like a whole new way to play the game. Beyond the expansion, trying to score, try to take back Total Rex, totally different game mode, using these 8 new factions you see here. And those were the ones, again, with the symbols in the upper right that didn't also have a faction ability. All right. Now, checking out the rule book. Again, very beginning, there's some lore stuff. And this, let's see here, page, 4 technically, when you look on the right, this has a pretty good overview of all of the components that are in the box for playing the game. Everything that's new. And of course, it goes into how to set up. I love graphics that show you how to do stuff, not only like when they're talking about stuff, show the graphics, but also like game setup and use arrows and diagrams. That's good, all good stuff, so you don't have to try to use your imagination what the hell someone's talking about. And this does introduce these hyper lanes as also another way to quickly get around the space battlefield. There are new rules for Thunder's Edge Expedition. There's breakthroughs and synergy. There's the fracture. There are relics. There are legendary planets, neutral units, the purge, space stations, entropic scar anomaly, dual planet trades, dual specialties. This mechanic calling about coexist, hyperlanes, galactic events, etc., etc. A lot of new contents they can play with that's modular. You can also, you see here on the right, there's an alliance game variant. A lot of different ways you can play the game. And even a map on setups if you just want to set up the games in a particular way for all of the planets as a reference, as well as some rules clarifications. So it's cool to just guide and really like how to modular and way enhance the game, multiple game modes, new factions, new things, new stuff. This book, I'm not going to go through this because this is lore and this be entertaining to read, but it's all about the lore compendium of Thunder's Edge. And you just have stuff like this that just provides really cool pieces of art and some more snippets about the story of the galaxy at large. All right, let me see how we're doing on time. I don't want this stream to go too long. It's up in Acros TV. All right, just at 20 minutes over. Cool. All right, next up, because I see it first, let's take a look at the plastics. So these plastics, it's the same ships they've seen before in Twilight Imperium and Prophecy of Kings, except now there's also a gray version. So what's cool is not only, yes, there's a neutral faction you play with in the game that use the gray units, but you can also just play gray. I mean, color's the color, right? So more colored units. I'm not going to get all of these out because you've seen these units before, but to show you that, you know, it is the same what you would be expecting, like this is a Dreadnought. Let me see for funsies if I can find like for example, this is one of the units you get from Prophecy of Kings, which is the mech unit. And let me see if I can't find the flagship in the sea of stuff. To be honest, I kind of like the flagship of 3rd edition better, just because I thought it was so unique having the huge front end. They did change the shape of it for 4th edition. It still looks good. I just really like the look that was used in 3rd edition. I'm not finding it at a quick glance in here because there's only one of it. It's buried. But like, for example, here's a cruiser. Many pieces. But again, it's not no new pieces, just a new color. Same amount of pieces that you expect for one faction's worth of stuff. This is just extra cardboard and paper to help keep everything safe. Alright, so it looks like the last thing to go through is all the different decks of cards. So this one on top, which looks new, which it is, because it's not a mini card, are tarot card sized cards. Which obviously this is for one of the new modules that are added to the game. Which honestly I cannot speak to without going into it, but we'll take this look at kind of like what this is offering. So I'll just, here's the Consul Caleres. It's a whole stack. So it looks like these are all for like all of the, maybe it's just how to set up each of the factions maybe. And then this says more stuff that's included in the expansion, looks like. And a little advertisement for Twilight Inscription, which is the roll and write for Twilight Imperium that came out a long while ago. They include a reference card of all different units generically and what their stats are. All of those, of course, can be different if you're playing any particular faction because some of them are tweaked based on the faction you're playing with. Then there's a bunch of blue cards that look like is one of the new game mode that you start with certain conditions in the game. Like this one starts with Stellar Atomics, which I recall that's what that is. But again, check out this is saying it's things you do during setup to add more flavor and function to the game. And then lastly, there's a stack of green cards that, what are we doing here? Oh, that's kind of interesting. It looks like it's an overview of the faction, and it's kind of letting you know what's unique and how they're played, which is kind of cool. So it's like, especially for new players that don't know what you're doing. Like here's the Arboric. That's telling you how to start up, what their leaders are, what they do at an overview level, as well as the complexity to play. Whereas, for example, if you look at the Argent Flight, you see the complexity is easier, and you can see how, an overview, how they're different and how they're played. I just think it's a weird coincidence that these two are at the top, because these two are actually my favorite race from the core game and my favorite race from Prophecy of Kings. Weird. The game's speaking to me. And this one, honestly, is probably one of my favorite races that I'm hearing about for this new expansion. But I haven't checked out, obviously, all the races yet to see what they are and what they do. It looks the fun. Oh, so it looks like, yeah, it looks like they made these cards for like all the races. You can see how they play. So that's really cool. Right, so it looks like the tarot cards, it looks like are all guide cards, including setup cards. Different things to do at setup. How to play, reference, game setup. So you know when you see a tarot card that it's help with the game, whereas mini cards you use in the game. Would be my quick guide on that. Let's take a look at some of these cards. Again, I'm not going to go through all the cards. I'll give you a quick taste of what to expect. Because part of the fun, like I said, is the whole, I call it, the Christmas gift opening moments. Like, oh, shoot, what's that? Oh, man. So here's a new one. I don't know what that symbol's for, but this one's called Transpose. And it says, action, give one of your abilities to one of your neighbors, then take one of their abilities. Oh, you know what? Maybe these are the splice cards. That could be. Could be, with just guessing. That's what it might be. That's what. Oh, let's see what else we got here. I'm looking at the backs here. I don't know what all the stuff is. Like, here's some more little cards here. Echo of Sacrifice. Let's see. These look like edict cards. That's what the back looks like. For example, this top one says Splice, which is an edict. Initiate a splice of any type, including all players. I have to say, these are some colorful cards. So these colorful cards is rather colorful because you probably use these, obviously, for when you play the alternate game mode, which I already forgot what it was called. It was called something. Twilight's Fall. Easy to identify. You just look at for the really bright neon colors. These cards are used for that. Actually, to be honest, this whole deck that I picked up is probably used for it. And if you look at the bottom of these wells, for the mini cards, they do have emboss that shows you a symbol of where to place that deck. So that you kind of know, oh, I place all of the Twilight Fall cards here. Which is handy. I don't recommend keeping these necessarily in here because it might be hard to get out due to the size of the space of the finger hole once you get the thing out. And again, like, I just recommend different storage solutions for the stuff in general because there's so much stuff and you probably want to organize the way that works best for you, or for have everything, like I said, combined for one faction, so you can just give a player all their stuff together, but to each his own. Alright, the next deck of cards is these look like racial cards and abilities and stuff. Well, let's see here. We have some action cards here. Got a bunch of new action cards. Then you have new, I don't want to say ability cards, but I forget what we call the cards that you acquired. That's technologies. There you go. Of, whichever race you are, the tech. And flip it around, like there's new cards for the planets. And some of the new game modes they add, like I forget what that's called, that you compete to get resources from the breakthrough. Again, check out the game rules to learn more, because I'm learning as I go as well. Actually, I think I am going to store these cards separately, so I'm going to leave them out for the time being. It looks like 3 more decks of cards, and then that's all the components. That's new. All right. This one looks like you have Alliance cards, or it says Arbreaker Alliance, Origin Alliance cards. Let's see what the back is, for example. Oh yeah, that's right, because there was a mode that said you can play as an alliance. Right. That's probably a whole thing. Yeah, this is classic technology cards. Looks like there's some new leaders. If that's what I'm looking at. Or is that? Yeah, just a lot of cards. A lot of tech, a lot of cards. Oh my goodness. Another thing I recommend, especially if you're playing long games and people are eating food, touching your cards, is I recommend also getting possibly even sleeves for these cards, just so when you're manhandling them, they don't get worn over time. I wish they made something like that for the strategy cards, which maybe there's a solution, but just with anything, if you're manhandling a lot, just like TCG cards, that ways to protect. All right, 2 decks left. Wow, this deck is colorful. Wow, poppin'. Look at that color. Holy shit. That's poppin' flavor. So these, I don't know what these type of cards are, but like here's an example called Mitosis. Again, to know at a quick glance a component picking up on what it is, I recommend going to that page 4 of the game manual to see, because it'll list all the components and what they are. Mitosis, at the start of the stats phase, place 1 infantry from your reinforcements on any planet you control. And then the last deck. Wow, also super colorful. Wow, look at that popping color. Holy shit. That's very, what's it called? Synthweave, techno. That's popping flavor. These backs, these cards. Alright, so what are these cards? Like this top one says Helios Entity. In case you can't read this one, it says the unit's production value is equal to 2 more than the resource value of this planet. The resource value of this planet is increased by 2. Up to 3 fighters in the system do not count against your ship's capacity. Production X. Man, the UI. The graphic design on the backs of the cards is pretty boss, I have to say. Pacific Geom. So again, just so you can see the bigness one more time, there you get 5 decks of mini cards and 1 deck of tarot cards. So here again are all the mini cards. 1, 2, 3, for. Gotta have a lot of cards because you gotta have epic games to play all day and or a lot of players. But see, that's what's interesting. The classic game takes forever, but I wonder if Twilight's Fall is actually a quicker game. I don't know. It is a totally different game. And then there's modules you can play, and the more content you add to a game, and here's the tarot cards, the more content you add to the game, the longer it's going to be, but also, it could also be more fun because you have more complexity, more layers to the onion. Well, a lot of cool stuff. I look forward to getting this game to the table and obviously mixing it with Prophecy of Kings and the core game, which you do need to play. But yeah, be sure to check out, goes in detail, like so Twilight's Fall is an entirely different way to play the game, entirely different game it looks like using these pieces, and then the game itself adds multiple new modules that you can add to the game to add more of the fun. Well, thanks for watching. Expect more board game content and obviously video game content in the future. More KDM stuff is just around the corner. Destiny, the new expansion is going to be coming out real soon. I still want to get Nemesis and Frostpunk to the table because they have solo game modes, as well as Firefly. Just so many big box games that I'm starting to amass collection and get them to the table. Well, be sure to check out twitch.tv/Ismortah/schedule to see what's coming up next, as well as you can check out Shadow Balance on X to see what's coming up as far as content and schedule as well. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Ismortah, and man, go get Twilight Imperium. The shit is hot. Thanks for watching.